first. We'll do a shell voicings video first. So again, just a basic concept. Roughly this region, F to C, is where things don't get too muddy unless you go like, when you're using thirds, they're going to be too muddy. So when you're on this end, it's even easier because you're like, oh, well, I know that I need a root 7 down there. So every chord is either just root 7th or root 3rd, which right away when you look, if you just browse the chords on the chart, you're going to see like flat 5s, flat 9s, other types of alterations. You can completely ignore them for this exercise. So the first thing I want you to do is come up with a nice little arrangement with your left hand. And again, this is our foundation that we're going to build off of as a solo jazz piano person. So I'm just going to go through a quick way, not even think about it too much, just A minor 7, D minor 7, G7. For this, I already know that I want to come up here, C major 7, C7, just because that's a nice little internal melody. And then we're going to go to F major 7, B minor 7, flat 5, E7, then we're back to our original A minor, which then we go to D minor, G, and then almost the same thing, C major 7, E minor, A, D minor, G, C, and then I'll jump up here, B minor 7 to E. So that's the first half of the tune. Basically repeats. And your real, the only thing that you're thinking about is if you're playing an F major, it sounds like that, let's not do that. You know? And if this is too harsh for you, then do this, basically, right? So once you've kind of gone through and come up, you could come up with a couple of different pathways, whatever. Then try it with the melody to see it, because a lot of times the specific notes of the melody will clash with what's going on down here, and then you make the decision to, then I mean, there's only like 2 or 3 maybe positions that work in the left hand for each chord. So you try the other one, which will probably work, and if it doesn't, then you really have to think about it a little bit. Don't worry, we can fix anything. But so I'll just play the melody. Forgive me, I didn't play exactly the way it's written, right? So I think probably the way it was originally written was very straight. You might find it online, like you were saying, but just very, very straight. And the whole point is to sort of have fun with that. You can start by being very straight with the left hand so that you can be more free with the right hand. And in the beginning, just experiment. And then when you come back, we can talk about a few more specifics of that. Because a lot of that is just knowing the language. Like, how do you make it syncopated in a way that sounds like jazz? Mm-hmm. Mostly, the answer to that is you play it as written. Find a few different versions of it. Play it exactly as written. Take mental notes. Then listen to Count Basie play it. Then listen to and learn it. Learn how to play it. The melody, just the melody. Listen to Frank Sinatra do it. This is his flagship song, right? Learn specifically how to play the melody the way that he sings it. Learn, Ella Fitzgerald, Duke Ellington. Hey, the list goes on and on and on. And you'll find, like, some people are going to be totally extreme with it. And some people are going to be very, very conservative. I find it really interesting to try to find actual original, like, pop versions of a lot of these tunes from the 30s and 40s, like the show tune versions and stuff, and they're like really square, like insanely square, and they do the I can't even do it with the vibrato. It's a holdover from the opera days. The pop singers would sing like opera singers. And it just sounds so hokey and weird. you know. But it gives you an appreciation of somebody like John Coltrane, who takes, you know, My Favorite Things, which is a beautiful tune, but you know, in Sound of Music with, what's her name, Julie Andrews. Raindrops and moonbeams and bambans and kittens and blah blah, which is great, but it's very, you know, different
Yes.
than the way John Coltrane plays it. John Coltrane turns it into a spiritual experience. Anyway, what was I saying?
Walking bass?
Oh, walking bass, that's the next video. Oh, I wanted to reiterate that other thing that we were talking about. What is the next step once you can do that? You do your shell voicings and you have your melody. And you can throw like a little, it's a little bit more advanced, but we're going to be working on your timing more and more. Because internally, like if I'm going to just play... It's happening inside of my body. Mm-hmm. And more specifically, your shuffle, right? It's a fast shuffle. Swing is a fast shuffle. One, so if you get your swing metronome, that's why that's such a the one that I gave you with the loop, the little tiny loop. When you play things with that, you start to feel where the beat is and the possible beats. Because if in your body there's this thing, which is like your heart, actually your heart kind of sounds like a bubble, bubble, bubble. It's not that mechanical, but if that's happening, everything that I'm playing is on that timeline. So it's always happening, you know. Everything that I play happens on one of those beats. And I've trained myself to be able to, it's internal. It's an internal clock right now. And the same thing with a melody. You know. I don't know why I just had trouble with that. Messed my brain up. But yeah, that's what it is, right? Da, 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 da. And that's why when you play with that loop for a long time, it's going to be so ingrained in your brain and in your physical person that you can't help but you know, all the little boop, boop, bop, boop, boop, those things, it's a feeling, and it's like in classical music they call it hocket, which means, and a solo performer is going to do this a lot, where you rhythmically fill in the spaces that the melody is not. So it's the negative. So if I go, not every single space, but I never played at the same time. Mm-hmm. Not to say that you can't do that, but that's like, it pushes it along instead of going. You know, it's hard to do. But, you know, it's like, you know, even my foot, this is what I'm feeling inside. Ja, 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 ja. All day long. Let's just start. Okay, so then the thing that I actually wanted to talk about when I started talking about that is filling in the chords. So once you have your root seventh and then your melody note is the third, we're missing the fifth. So this is actually the full chord. And then if we're going to do root third here, we're missing the fifth and the seventh. So if you want to fill in the chord, you can do it like that. Ah. And then here we were root 7 third, and then so we could put our 5th there. So. Put my 5th there. And in addition to that, you can double notes. So the first one was root 7 5 third, but I could double the 3rd here. I could double the 7th here. I could even do the 5th here. Usually you don't do roots for whatever reason. But, you know, whatever. Bass note on the bottom, melody note on top, fill it in, experiment with that. And again, that's just the first level when you're doing 7th chords. Mm-hmm. To make it sound more jazzy, you're going to start to do 9ths, 11ths, 13ths, and alterations. Flat 9ths, flat 5s, sharp 11s, that kind of thing. But you want to be methodical about it. Because otherwise it's way too much at once. Mm-hmm. And again, this is nice. And anyway, when you're playing the bigger chords, generally your left hand's still just doing this, right? Mm-hmm. Or you can get away with it, you can fake it.